Yo, what up? This is a special edition of What's Up, Cuzzo. We got your two favorite cousins in the building.
What it
And
do?
chilling, man, chilling. And we wanted to react to something that's been out there in these streets. You guys have probably already heard it, but I mean, I have my own opinions about it, but I wanted to see, I wanted to share that with you and see what Cuzzo had to say about it. Ray Lewis was on Valuetainment, um, Patrick Bet David's podcast, and he has some stuff to share about Shannon Sharpe. Let's see what he has to say.
He was one day going to be Shannon Sharpe. Did you think he was one day going to be a good TV guy personality?
Yeah.
So you knew he was made for TV.
Yeah.
And would he say he's going to do it?
Yes, he had already started prepping.
How much before he retired did he tell?
Been started.
Oh, so he's known he's going to be doing that.
Yeah.
So you're not surprised by the success he's having with his podcast and TV and him and Skip and Stephen A, all that stuff?
No, I'm not surprised. I'm shocked at his content. I wouldn't in a million years, the things that Shannon has said now or did now, I would never believe that Shannon will say or do any of this.
Like what?
Simply, I take drinking. Shannon, in my entire career, I've never saw Shannon with a drink. Ever. Like it was against the law, right? Because he had some stuff in his family that he didn't want to follow that. And then so I kind of started to watch him, and then we kind of went our own separate ways because I'm like, you're going to take that route. I can't go that route. Never can go that route. And that route is to become so worldly that you become popular because you're talking about ignorance, right? A lot of times, a lot of these gossip conversations that they're having and bringing up all this stuff, I'm not going to do that to nobody. I'm not in the business for that. I'm in life to try to teach people what does it mean to be a better man or get back to the kingdom, And a lot of times, a lot of the guys get in trouble with these podcasts and things, man, because everybody wants the follower, everybody wants to be popular, everybody wants to make money, but that's a tight rope into what you call influence and popularity.
All right, I'll stop it right there. So what do you think? Well, I'll hop in, man. I saw this a couple times, and I probably want to go in and see like the entirety of it, but it's hard to see if there was any other context given as to why he overshared. The question that was asked, he asked him a specific question, did you see Shannon Sharpe going in this direction? And I think he answered the question. He probably could have elaborated more on, how he saw him respond and react.
Mm-hmm.
But just knowing, like hearing conversations from Shannon Sharpe's side of things, Shannon Sharpe always speaks highly of him. And I don't know if anything else happened in the past. He's always spoken highly of Ray Lewis. He called him, I think his nickname for him is Suge. He talked about, how they used to room together. He talked about how they used to hang out and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just like a basic, like he wasn't just like a regular teammate, like some dude, he was just on your team, but y'all didn't, talk and conversate and get along. Like it sounded as if that these two individuals were, somewhat close. And just from coming from my mindset, I wouldn't share or overshare something about somebody who I would consider a friend or a brother, no matter what they did. We've seen what they've done, but I think what he's done is he just added, kind of more, fuel to the fire. I know some of y'all barbecued out there this weekend. He added more, what I'm saying, of the spray. What I'm saying? I can't even think of it. I'm lost my mind, my thought. But he's added more, lighter fluid to the flyer.
Hmm.
And I'll let you hop in, and I have some other things that I want to say, but I don't want to go too deep into it. But yeah, go ahead and see what is your thoughts, Cuzzo. I'll say that.
Yeah, I think he probably, felt like this for a while. But it's just kind of like one of those things to where it's like, if this is somebody that you know, somebody that you close with, you probably either already told him this or should have had a conversation. And, I really don't like these type of videos, because if this is somebody that you know on a regular basis, then why couldn't you already have this conversation? Now, to put it out there publicly, this does one or two things. This creates a debate, and then this feeds into, the drama portion of it, because now you got one guy saying something about this guy, and it's going to get back to the other guy because this is what he does, and then the other side I have a conversation about it. So this is just another new spin and cycle, So for whatever reason, this will give something for the people to talk about, So like I understand, from what we've seen from, the guy Ray Lewis thus far has been super positive, like he's saying, always wanting to see young men and men, do better and get back to the kingdom. That's what he said, so seems like he's disappointed in Shannon, because he felt like, in terms of his platform, it should be something that's more productive. But just looking at old videos, Hard Knocks and all that stuff, I mean, Shannon Sharpe has always been kind of like a goofball,
Right.
for lack of better words. He's the funny guy, He's the antics guy, It's kind of like, what you see on TV, he's always been this way, He's not he'll have some motivational and some good talking points, but for the most part, this is kind of where he lives in
Right.
terms of, the internet world. This is where you get to make the most money, because people want to be entertained. A lot of times people seek information, want information, but they, wholeheartedly are not entertained, or it really doesn't take hold of people as well as entertainment does. So to be in that world and engaging in those conversations, that's what, people really want,
Right.
So I get where, Ray Lewis is coming from, but, I don't think it's as serious.
Yeah, I that you brought up two good points. You brought up disappointment. He may be disappointed. And then you also said you talked about entertainment. So firstly, the disappointment thing, I get it. Like some of the things that he's done, especially if you know somebody and you've known them for a while, like some things that, and you know what direction Ray Lewis is going on, and some things somebody can do in your family could disappoint you. And I've had that happen. However, I don't think it's a good idea to bring that up in a public platform, and also to include your family. I don't know if you heard that, but he was like, "Oh yeah, he did not have a drink ever." Like he said, because there was something in his family, that kept him from drinking, or wanted him to not be a drinker, because he didn't want to follow down that same road. Now you have people thinking, like, who was he talking about? Because nobody never ever knew in the public, for the most part, that I'm hearing, knew about somebody in his family that was a drinker.
Mm-hmm.
And so that kind of sheds a light on that. Like, okay, like who is he talking about? Like, where did that come from? Like, and these are conversations I'm assuming they had in private. So why would you share that
Mhm.
information. It's one thing for rebuking him, and I actually get to that because I have some stuff to say on a biblical point because that's what he talks about. So I want to bring it. I want to bring some things that I considered when he brought up, adding to the kingdom. But the other thing you said is entertainment.
Mm.
Charleston White. You know what I'm saying? Charleston White is a character, and he does things to get a reaction out of people because he knows that they're going to listen to him.
Mhm.
And Shannon Sharpe, not as much as a character as Charleston White, but it's about entertaining the people. And people like them stories. They like certain words you use. They know they like certain conversations.
Mhm.
And in the industry of, and this, I mean, YouTube is entertainment. People don't go to YouTube. They go to YouTube for several different things, but his platform is centered around entertainment. He's entertaining his viewers, his watchers, his listeners. So he's gonna give you a old story, what his granddaddy used to say, or he'll give you like a catchphrase that he heard, or he'll talk about him hanging out with his buddy and they go to a girl hotel room, you know what I mean? Or
Mhm.
yeah, so he'll give you those stories. And I
Mhm.
get it, like it could be borderline. But I also know that Shannon does other things in his life. He just doesn't like publicize it like that. So you're I'll say this. It's like he's hitting him like he's already down. He's already gone through all these things. And if you guys were supposed to be cool, like you're just gonna like you wouldn't expect the person that you're cool with to kick you while you're down, while you're already experiencing these hardships. And I'll
Right.
say this, I'll get to it too because I don't want to be too long. I only wanted this to be like, like 9-10 minutes. But I'll say this last thing and I'll let you jump in if you wanted to. But he talked about adding or doing something productive for the kingdom. There's one thing. There's three actually scriptures I thought about, and I won't say the location. If you guys want to look them up, you can. But he that is free of sin, let him cast the first stone. That's one. Get the plank out of your own eye before you try to get the plank out of somebody else's. Basically, take care of yourself. Make sure you're doing the right thing before you try to address somebody else's mistakes. And the last one is if you have a fault against your brother, you go to your brother in private. And then it says, if he doesn't listen to you, then you go to the elders. He didn't say go to YouTube. He didn't say go to Instagram. He said go to the elders. So if you're trying to do things in line with the book that you say you follow, then you out of line. I'll just say that.
Well, I don't think he said a book, but he said the kingdom. So we can only, speculate what book he's talking about. It could have
Well,
been
I know what book he talked. I mean, I've heard him speak before, so I
right.
know kind of what he
I got
exactly what
I
he's
got
talking
what
about.
you're saying. I
Yeah.
got what you're saying. But yeah, so that's why I think this is for entertainment. That's just why. Because if that's what time you own, then none of this should even be out in the public. Those words should have never been spoken. I'm pretty sure you can reach out to your brother and have a conversation. And then who will be the elders? Who listens to elders these days? Who are the elders? Can the elders put you in a position to, live a life of whatever you feel like you should have? So I get, you want to go to the elders for wisdom, but you also want protection. You also want, to have a good life. You also want all these worldly things, that are like the basic necessities of life. And a lot of times the elders, can't take care of themselves because they didn't set themselves up the right way, because they didn't have the information. So who were their elders,
And it wasn't, and I sorry to cut you off. So the elders is not necessarily those people who are older, because you're right. Like the
Mhm.
elders may not have their own ish together.
Right.
Elders were a certain level spiritually speaking, a certain level in the church who they were looked at. They had a certain position in the church, so those are the people that you would go to have these conversations with each other. It's kind of like for counseling, sort of, kind of like they're able to see both sides and are able to help you guys get past this. Not, but yeah, that's
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just asking, questions just to go down the line and the list of just understanding, because understandings that we had before are different understandings today, just based on, what we see as a way of life, what we see as, what spirituality is, what we see as, quality of life, it's changed drastically. So I think people nowadays, don't have jobs that they had before. So it's strictly in grabbing attention and eyeballs. And like you said earlier, the character of Charleston White, he started doing what he was doing because nobody was listening to the righteous stuff in the righteous path. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna get out here and act ignorant. This is what y'all want. Yep. This is what y'all want to see. Nobody started paying attention to me, until I put on the mask. You know what I'm saying? Like my brother Bang said. So it's like, hey, you put on this mask, we get out here, we act like a clown, we act like a fool. That's what people want to see. That's what people will pay attention to and listen. And then hopefully you can drop some Jews and some messages in there along the way, but it's still taken as entertainment. Right. And only the ones that have ears to hear, eyes to see, and mouths to speak, are the ones that can make it through and break through or get something, from a space that most people won't get anything from or get anything through, So that's my take on it.
Absolutely, man. Let us know what you guys think inside of the comments. We appreciate you. We out.